Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unify Study. This is Thulasi. We are going to have marathon on communication for UGC Net Paper 1. All important concepts in one class. Today is going to be a 2 hours marathon where we are going to cover all the important concepts of communication. Welcome you all to Unify Study. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unify Study. Is my video clear? Audio clear? Yes. Ammu, Full Moon, Meenakshi, Anita, Gomati, Lata, Vanita, Mallu, Vino, Purnima, Lekha, Seetal, Muthulakshmi, Vetri, Monica, Niveta, Shobhya, Rosie, good morning. Good morning. Yes, yes, yes. Are you all ready? Yes. So today is everything clear? Those who are new to the channel, please do kindly subscribe and like the video. After looking at the video, yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. So we'll start our today's class. All the important concepts of communication, where here we can score, we'll be getting 5 questions from communication part. Yes. Ma'am, WhatsApp link. For what? WhatsApp link, Gomati? Okay. So for this communication unit, we'll be getting 5 questions. Maximum of 5 questions we'll be getting. And there we'll be having some 3 questions which will be coming from the static sure topics will be there. From those topics we'll be getting, definitely we'll be getting questions. Right? There are 1 question or 2 questions which will be going with only we have a deep understanding of communication concept we can answer. But definitely for sure we can attempt some 3 to 4 questions with having a knowledge of all these concepts which I am teaching. Yes, yes. So we start a communication class with these are the syllabus with respect to communication. Communication, effective communication, barriers to effective communication, and mass media and society. So what do you mean communication? Communication talks about meaning, types, characteristics. Effective communication, the types of communication, group communication, classroom communication and all. Barriers to effective communication, mass media and society. Of these topics, right, we'll be covering the important concepts. What do you mean by communication? Communication means interacting between each other, right? When I want to say something, I'll be conveying to you. That we call it as what? Communication. So the other end, the people has to understand what that sender is being telling you. That will be in form of a word. It will be in form of a sign, right? It will be in form of a body language. It will be in form of a gesture. Any form it can be, right? That we call it as a communication. It's a form of an interaction that takes place between people through symbols. Those symbols can be a verbal, a non-verbal, a sign language, a gesture, anything it can be, right? Which will be communicated between people to make them understand, and by which the receiver will respond, and again the sender will give some answer to them. So that give and take we call it as what? Communication. Yes. See, it's a process of sending and receiving messages through verbal and non-verbal means. Verbal means what? Whatever we do through words, whatever we do through writing or reading, right? We call verbal. Non-verbal means what? Whatever we do through actions, right? We call it as non-verbal. So see, in communication, we have 7 C's of communication. What are the C? When I communicate with you, I has to be clear, I has to be clear. I has to be concise. I has to be concrete. I has to be correct. I has to be coherent. I have to be complete. I have to be courteous. Right? Yes. What do you mean by clear? We'll see each and every topic. When I communicate to you, I have to be clear to my purpose. Today, my purpose is to take you communication class. So I am very clear of what I am going to teach today. So with my points, I'm very clear. So that is what I'm going to convey you. So as a communicator, I have to be clear with what I'm going to communicate. First point, concise. And I have to be very concise with what topics I'm going to teach you today. Right? Communication, types of communications, and I have barriers to communication and cultural communication. So I'll be very concise to the point. These are the point I'm going to discuss today. By simple and short. That's concise. Concrete means what? Concrete means I need to be very clear. I should be give you detail only with respect to communication. If I give you too much of detail with respect to communication, what will happen is you will not be able to remember. That we call concrete. Concretely, I have to give you ideas about communication with precise points. Be clear, not fussy. Fussy means giving too much of thing, too much of details. Give means you'll be getting confused. So concrete, but not too much of detail. Correct. What do you mean by correct? I have to give you message regarding communication, accurate and also in a grammatically correct way. That we call it as correct. Coherent. Coherent means was I have to follow a flow of a logic should be there when I communicate something to you. Yes, it has to have need some communicate logic flow when I communicate to you something. And when I started communication, I'll be telling what is communication and what are all the important terms of communication and where we use, how it been differ. So I have to follow a logical flow between each and every topic which has to be connected with and complete. So whenever I communicate something to you, it has to be completely understood to the person who is on the either end, that is you yourself. Each and everything it has to be completely understood to you so that I can move to the next step. So that is complete. And courteous. Courtesy, right? We call it as courtesy. Whenever I talk to people, I have to maintain that courtesy. If I am talking to you students, right, I have to be very polite, friendly, and also open. So whenever you post questions, should be able to answer you. I should not be too rigid. If I be too rigid means then our communication will not be connected properly. Right, that we call courtesy. So the message that I convey to you has to be very polite, friendly, professional and open. That is, I have to maintain the courtesy throughout the communication. So whenever I do communication, I am communicating to you people. I just want to tell you something about the topic communication. So when I tell you about the communication, these are the 7 C's that I have to follow so that the communication process is fulfilled. Clear. Note on the point: clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, courteous. Clear means clear about the purpose of this conversation. I am going to teach you about communication. That's my clear clarity point. Concise means keeping to the point. Whatever message I am going to tell you, I'll be concise, precise to the point. Concrete means not giving too much of detail. That is concrete. Correct means correct details with respect to communication. Coherent means what? Make sure all the message has a logical flow. That is coherence between each topic. Complete. I have to make you understand whatever you need in this class has to be given to you with a full understanding. That is complete. Courteous means courtesy. So I have to interact with you in a friendly way, in a polite way, in a professional and open way so that our connection will be strong so that you'll be able to understand well and I'll also in a good place. Clear, that is courtesy. The way I express you the content. Clear. These are the 7 C's of communication. Yes. Next comes to S of communication. So when I communicate, there are some S's that has to be followed. It has to be short, simple. This means this. That's all. Example. You'll understand. Simple. Shorter a message means whenever I say a short message, right? You can understand easily. Giving long explanation which makes you to confuse. And that we call it as what? Short message. Simplicity means what? Simplicity. Simple. Don't use technical words, some jargons to make the receiver confused. So try to convey the topic very simple ideas, simple concepts. Concepts may be huge, but the way we explain has to be simple so that the receiver can understand easily. Next, strength. What do you mean by strength? Strength means the strong, right? In communication, when I say the communication is strong means it has to be effective means I should make the receiver to feel that the content which is being given by me is be genuine and authentic. So I have to make you believe the content I'm giving, right, should be genuine and authentic. And it should be like that only. That's called the strength of that communication. Whatever things I give you, it has to be genuine and authentic. That sets me the strength of a communication. Now I'm talking about communication, the words which I use, the types which I give, the examples which I state you, everything has to be genuine and authentic. So that you should be able to understand the concept clear. And what do you mean by sincere? What do you mean by sincere? Sincere means what? The message, whatever I say, right, I have to tell with my 100% consciousness, right, which improves the communication level of both sender and the receiver. Okay, I have to be very clear with whatever topics I'm going to speak, whatever topics I'm going to speak about communication. So I have to be sincere towards the point that I'm going to convey to you. So these are the 4 S's of communication: short, simple, strength, sincere. Short message, keywords, write down the keywords. This should be a short message. Simple, the ideas has to be expressed in a simple way, right? It has to be expressed in a simple way. Third, strength. What do you mean by strength? Whatever thing I explain you, give you, has to be genuine and authentic. Has to be genuine and authentic, so that makes the communication, okay, between the sender and receiver very effective. Sincere means what? The message should reflect the sincerity of the sender for improving the process of communication. So I should be very sincere. So that sincerity will make you to involved in doing your studies, and that will improve the learning process. The communication process. Okay. The message should reflect the sincerity of the sender. For improving the process of communication. If I am not sincere means towards the topic that I am teaching you, you will not be able to involve into the communication. Clear? Yes. So these are the 4 S's of communication. So 7 C's are there, 4 S's are there. Note down the points with the short keywords. Clear. Next we move to very important topic. It's called models of communication. We have 3 major models of communication. Yes, 3 major models of communication. What are all the models? Linear model, interactive model, transactional model. Right? Note down the models: linear, interactive, and transactional model of communication. What do you mean by linear model of communication? Linear means what? It will be of a linear type. Okay, one after the other it will be like this. One after the other it will be going. That we call linear. What do you mean by interactive? There will be 2 things. And what will be happening here? In interactive model, what will be happening? I will be interacting to him, he will be interacting to me. Interactive model. What will be happening in the transaction model? There are 2 elements. See, both are we doing in a simultaneous way. So this is about the linear, interactive, transactional models. What are the linear models? Aristotle model, Lasswell model, Shannon-Weaver model, SMCR model. These 4 models we call it as linear model of communication. When I communicate, there are some models to be followed. And then we have linear model. We have Aristotle, Lasswell, Shannon-Weaver, SMCR model. And in interactive models, we have a Scram's model, Wesley-Acklin model, and in transactional model, Berlins and helical model. We will see each and every models. Don't worry, you just note down. First one is linear model. What do you mean by linear model? So linear model is said to be a one-way communication. It's linear, right? It goes in this way. It is a one-way model. It is a direct approach of understanding how parties interact each other. Right? I'm going there, I'm talking to you. Right? Now I'm talking to you, and this is a linear model. Don't take some other example. Just take simple. Don't make it critical. Here I am talking to you. That's all. Only this phrase. I am talking to you. This is a one-way model of communication, linear model. Yes. Okay. Where in Aristotle model we don't having the feedback, listen properly and then you take notes. Please listen properly, Anand. Don't get confused. I'll go very slow and steady. Just listen properly. Don't write keywords here and don't get confused yourself. Feedback will not be here in the linear model. Please take it out. You will get confused, Anand. Aristotle model, it is being given in the 300 BC. Okay, 300 BC was given by Aristotle. These are the elements of Aristotle model. So speaker, speech, audience and effect. Speaker will speak on a content, on an occasion. Occasion is the important term. What do you mean by occasion? You take political meetings as an example. You take political meetings as an example. Yes? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I thought I'm talking about linear, right? So I thought you're telling about Aristotle model. Yes, okay. So whenever I say Aristotle model, it is of a linear model. In linear, we have four types: Aristotle, Laswell, Berlioz, and Shannon-Weaver model. So Aristotle was being given founded in the year 300 BC. The elements of Aristotle model are speaker, speech, occasion, audience, and effect. Take an example of a political meeting where the speaker will be there. There will be a content of what they want to speak. The occasion is for the election and the audience will be the public. And because of the speech, what the speaker has made, there will be effect on that people. And these are the elements of Aristotle model. These are the elements of what? Aristotle model. Clear? Yes? Yes. And when I take this Aristotle model, where the audience will be large, right, there will not be a response, no feedback will be there from the audience. No feedback will be there from the audience, right? Only there will be effect. Just note down the keywords which I am telling you. Okay. So what will be doing? The audience will be keenly observing what the speaker is telling, and they will not able to respond or give feedback. And that we call it as what? Aristotle model of communication. Yes. Yes. Next we move to Laswell model of communication. What do you mean by Laswell model of communication? This been given in 1948. So see, these are the phases. Who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. So communicator means what? If you will does is communicator will be here. I am a communicator. Who? Thulasi is the communicator. Says what? Talking about communication. The message is about communication for UGC net paper 1. Okay. So Thulasi is the communicator talking about net communication topic. In which channel? I am talking in YouTube, through YouTube. To whom? I am talking to the learners. With what effect to be informed? To make them equipped to write the net communication topic well. Clear or not? What should be the outcome? I want you to all to get 5 out of 5 in the communication part. So that should be the effect. So this model we call it as what? Laswell model of communication. Laswell model of communication in the year 1948. Please, when you take down notes, take the years also which I am giving. This is also known as an action model or a linear model. Linear model or an action model. Yes, this is also a one-way communication given by Laswell, 1948. It has 5 different elements. Who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. So these are the 5 elements of a Laswell model. Yes, yes. Very good. So you just take the example. Communicator says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. See here, there is no terms of feedback or noise or nothing. Right? This is a one way of communication. Next we move to another two types of linear model, that is Shannon-Weaver model and Berlioz-SMCR model. What do you mean by Shannon-Weaver model? This was being given in the year 1949. See here also we have the same concept. We have the source, we have the encoder, channel, receiver is here, destination is here. Here is a concept called noise. Here's a concept called noise. So Shannon-Weaver model is being given it's been proposed as a mathematical model. It is being proposed as a mathematical model. You remember as during the Second World War, right? 1940s and all, the Second World War time, right? So during that time they developed telecommunication. They want to communicate things, right? At that time only they developed this model called a mathematical model of for telecommunication, that is Shannon-Weaver model. So whenever I do communicate through telecommunication, there will be a parameter called noise, right? That disturbance. Through the channel, there will be a disturbance. So that disturbance they included as a term in Shannon-Weaver model. So here we have a sender, here we have an encoder, and here we have a channel through which is being sent. As it is telecommunication, there it is a mobile channel. Yes, mobile network channel will be there as a channel, and we have a term called noise or disturbance. Learners, if you have any thing, please kindly put down so that I will be noting down. Disturbance will be there. If that disturbance we call it as noise, and then it goes to receiver and destination. So these are the elements of a Shannon-Weaver model. We have six elements here. Sender, encoder, your mobile network, the channel, and the fourth one disturbance, and the fifth one will be your decoder, and the sixth one will be your receiver. Yes, yes. Here what we have to take, the disturbance as the important one, then there's a concept called noise. See, there are some concepts with respect to Shannon-Weaver model. Entropy, redundancy, noise, channel capacity. What do you mean by entropy? Entropy is nothing but a confusion that happens during the communication. Chaos or disorder, we call it as what? Entropy. We call it as chaos. Chaos means confusion. Kind of a disorder which happens, we call it as what? Entropy. What do you mean by redundancy? Repeating things. Right, repeating things again and again, repeating the same thing. Redundancy will be there. Noise, some external sounds, external disturbance will be there. That is noise. Channel capacity means what? As we are all in digital era, we know what is the channel capacity. How much of data can I transmit to over this channel? Now I am transmitting nearly 2000 kbps per second through this channel, through YouTube. Now. Right. Similarly, the channel should have a capacity of how many data it can send, because it depends upon the time. It talks about the time. It talks about the speed. So that's why channel capacity is more important. How many data can be sent through that channel, that medium. It can be fiber optics, it can be a coaxial cable. How much of data can be transmitted through that channel, we call it as a channel capacity. So all these things will be the important concepts of Shannon-Weaver model. See, we cannot go exactly with all the terms. We have to connect to the terms. See, in exam you would have seen entropy, we would have gone through noise, we have gone through channel capacity in different questions. The link where it is coming in, the link is in the Shannon-Weaver model. The link is in the Shannon-Weaver model. Clear? Yes? Yes? Shall I move to the next one? Shall I move to the next one? Yes? Clear? Yes, yes. Very good. So next we move to Berlow SMCR model. Berlow SMCR model. What is this? Entropy means confusion, Lakshmi. Confusion. See, whenever I talk, right? Whenever I talk to you through this channel, because of the channel, there may be some kind of an entropy may occur. Yes, entropy. It means chaos. It may be confusion. It may be some kind of a disorder, and that we call it as entropy. Yes. Please note down those words, because these are all the keywords which makes you understand. And if you have confusion, what we will be doing? If you are not able to understand the topic clearly, you will not be able to predict the things. So that will end in an unpredictable information, and that we call entropy. What will happen if you have a confusion? Tell me. You have a confusion. I am telling you, entropy means chaos. Chaos means confusion. So when I convey you something, you don't know the meaning of entropy. You're thinking, what is entropy? You get confused with that term. Then will you be able to get the content which I am telling you? No, we cannot predict what I am telling you. So entropy means chaos. Chaos means confusion, and that confusion will leads to what? This will leads to unpredictable situation. Clear now? Clear, Lakshmi? Yes. No doubt. In exam one time there's a question on on entropy, specifically entropy. The concept of entropy is being used, which is related to 2020 they have asked, and then 21 also they have been asked. Okay. So in entropy, when the confusion will come is whenever you miss the order, whenever you miss the sequence of how I am telling you. If you miss one order means what will happen? You cannot understand the next step. So see, now you stuck with entropy. What would have done is you wouldn't have listened redundancy carefully. You wouldn't have listened to noise carefully, channel capacity carefully. Am I right? Am I right? So what will happen if the order misses means what? Next things will get collapsed. Yes? 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 Yes. Very good. Very good. You are clear with redundancy, noise, and channel capacity. I hope so. Redundancy means giving multiple modes of response for the same thing. That's called redundant communication. Redundant communication. Redundancy. Repetition of some things. Yes. Noise means external disturbance. Channel capacity means through that medium how much of data can be transmitted. That is channel capacity. Yes, clear. Next we move to next model. This also linear model, that is Berlow's model in the year 1960. SMCR model. Sender, message, channel and receiver. That is source, message, channel, receiver. Source, channel, message, receiver. Note down this one time asked what about that SMCR abbreviate. SMCR abbreviate one time they've asked you as a question, and the year they have asked as a question. SMCR. Right, what do you mean by what is that? Source, message, channel, receiver. Source means what? Source means what? I'm the source. What skill I should have? I should have a good communication skill. I should have a good attitude. I should have a good knowledge about this thing. I should have a good social system. How to interact with you, I should know. And I should have a good culture. Right? I should have, no, I will be having. So with this source will be conveying some message to the receiver. What does the message contain? The message contain the content, elements, treatment, structure and code. Don't worry, I'll tell you what is all these things. Okay. Yes. You want me to hide my image? Then channel. Channel means what? Through which medium it is going. So I have to talk about hearing, seeing, touching, smelling and tasting. And next comes the receiver. So what are all the things the sender has? The same thing the receiver should also have. Communication skill, attitude, knowledge, social system, culture, everything. So these are all the elements that the show should have, the message should have, the channel should have, the receiver should have. Yes. 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 So Berlow SMCR model, where about this model what we can say is, here is also there is a no concept of feedback. No concept of feedback. Note down important points, right? Here, no concept of feedback is here. Both the person, the source and the receiver, will be identified by their own communication skill, attitude, knowledge, social system in the society where they live, and the culture. Similarly, receiver. And the message means what? Whatever message I convey, there is a content I am telling you, right? And the elements. Using what elements I convey these things to you, and what treatment I use to convey these things to you, and using what structure I deliver to you, and using what code. Here I am using English as a code to deliver you the content. Yes, so these are all about what? The Berlo SMCR mode. These are about the Berlo SMCR mode. Clarification, anything? Any clarification regarding Berlo SMCR model? Right, clear? Yes. What will be the element is the body language that I use to you, the how I interact with you, okay, how I'm looking and responding you, all these things we call it as element. Content, the communication topics is content. And what do you mean by structure? Structure is the way I structured, right? I have structured in such a way to deliver this content to you. That is structure, the message. And code means I am using this text code is there, image code is there, okay, some colorful things are there, so that I'm through which I'm conveying these things to you. Clear? Yes, hope clear. I think you'll be doubting with what this treatment and structure. Okay, content means about communication is the content. What is the elements means? Elements are the non-verbal and verbal things which I am using, right? My gestures, my hand actions, my eye contact with you, right? That is about the elements. Treatment means what? In what way? In what way message is being sent to you? Okay, and structure means what? The structure of what format I use to convey this to you. And code means what? I'm using text here, I'm using image here, I'm using some colorful content here to deliver them things to you. Yes. One time show the previous slide, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can just go back, Anand. Just go back. Just go. So about channel, so the channel, you don't think only this YouTube media alone as an example. You can have the same scene with the physical medium. Whenever you talk to some person, right? You imagine you are talking to some person, there you will be a source, the other person will be the receiver. The source will be having, you will be having your own communication skill, your own attitude of dealing things, your knowledge, your social system, your culture will be there. And you will be conveying some things to that person. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, ma. Yes, Alansha. Yes, we will see, wait. Yes, it just conveying things one way, linear mode. Yes. Yes. And channel means what? The medium which I am sending. Okay, in technical medium like digital medium, hearing, seeing, touching, you'll be seeing, right? You'll be hearing and you'll be seeing. When it comes to physical interaction means that will be having a chance of touching, smelling, tasting, will be there. Clear? Yes. Very good, very good. Next, we move to the next one. Next one. Hope clear with all the things? Clear with all the things? Yes. This is also a one-way model of communication. Next, I move to interactive model of communication. What do you mean by interactive model? So, linear model is actually one way. The interactive and transactional model, the other two models are going to be a two-way model of communication. There is a difference between interaction and transaction. We'll be looking after now. I will just hiding my image. So whenever we say interactive model, I interact to you, you interact to me. See, there is a two-way process of exchanging of information, two-way process of exchanging of ideas, messages and information. So it involves an active exchange between two or more parties, where each party takes a turn as a sender and a receiver of the message. Here we have a concept called a feedback. Seetal, there is no feedback in linear model. Linear model, it is all one-way instruction. Okay. Laswell, Shannon, Weaver, everything. In any of the images, we have any kind of a feedback link there. Just check. Is there any arrow mark going as feedback to the sender? The feedback will be sent to the sender. Here in any of these images, is there any link is being shown to gone to sender as a link? No. That is why I am repeating. No feedback. I am writing, see all the places. Yes. See, in Laswell also we don't have feedback. See, here also there is no link of feedback. Here Shannon Weber also there is no link of feedback. Berlow also there is no feedback. Yes. Next. So here when it comes two or more parties takes a turn as a sender and receiver of the message. So I am telling to you something. What you are doing? You are just conveying things to me. So in Sheetal asked question, ma'am, what about the feedback in Laswell and Shannon Weaver? Ma'am, she asked me. Now there she become the sender, I became the receiver. And then I received the question and then answering you. Right? So here what is there? It's a feedback. Here we have a feedback and that we call interaction. So we have two models called Osgood-Wilbur Scrum model. See, Charles Osgood and Wilbur Scrum are the two people. They worked together in 1954. They founded a model called the Osgood Scrum model or William Scrum's model. But Vanita, I can't get you. What, Shana? What is that? I can't get that word. I can't get that word. So Charles Osgood and Wilbur Scrum communication is also called Osgood Scrum or Wilbur Scrum. Okay. They here what happens is there is a concept called a feedback. See, here the message is being going to the receiver and then the receiver interprets the message and he encodes the message again and he sends to the sender. And here the sender will become a receiver here. And here this process is called a cyclic in nature. It's cyclic in nature and has three components like sender, message and the recipient. Sender, message and the recipient. Okay. And they included a concept called a noise and the field of experience. Already I have explained you what is called as a field of experience in the Scrum's model of Scrum's model. What do you mean by a field of experience? Field of experience. I am talking to you. I am the source. I am encoding the message. I am sending it through the YouTube channel. This channel I am sending you and you are receiving, decoding it and you are understanding things. But there is a field of experience for myself and there is a field of experience for the receiver end, through which they understand the things, and that model we call it as what? Scrum's model or interactive model. Clear? Vanita, I am not getting your point. If you make it clear very precisely, I will explain you. Okay. So in Scrum's model, we have some things called field of experience is very, very important. Field of experience, and we have the relationship between you and me and the things which we refer, and an important one is metaphors. Metaphors. What do you mean by metaphors? Metaphors means is symbolic of something when we use, right? Symbolic representation of when we use something, and that we called as metaphors. So these are all the important concepts of Wilbur Scrum's model. Clear? Yes. Why? Because then before 1954, there was no concept of field of experience of the sender and the receiver. Just they will be sending the message, throwing the message, throwing the message. They're not, there is no concern about the field of experience of the sender or the receiver. Yes, clear? So this is about the this concepts of the Scrum's model. Here we have a concept of feedback. Here we have a feedback because there is an interaction. Yes, there is an interaction. Is it possible for Shannon model, ma'am? What possible? No, madam, no. Shannon model is a linear model where they send data, that's all. Interference should be necessary in this model, right? Which model, Rohit? In this interactive model? In this interactive model? If there is noise, definitely there will be interference, right? Yes. Yes. That's all. Yes. Okay, very good. I hope clear. Just compare, you just go start with Aristotle model. It's just a linear one-way model, and then move to uh, next Laswell model, and then you move to Shannon-Weaver model, and then you move to Berlow's model, and then you move to this Wilbur model. Wilbur model is just doing interaction. Earlier it was a one-way model. Here we are doing two-way model. Two-way communication is there. There a concept of feedback comes, where another concept called field of experience comes. That field of experience is here. See, in Shannon Wave, added by, yes, but earlier it was not. Actually, in Wilbur also, first they have not introduced the concept of field of experience. Later they added a concept of field of experience. Yes. See, every model is being kept on modified. Kept on modified, right? If you have take the Bloom's taxonomy, when Bloom was introduced, there was a different hierarchy was there. When is students, then next they rearrange the order of Bloom's taxonomy, right? Right, in cognitive domain. So it was been keep on Lopa Sarkar. Yes. So it's been a concept added later. Yes, very good. Yes, Deepa, it's right. Interactive and circular model are same, because interactive is also circular, right? I tell you, you tell me back. You tell me, it's a circular model. That's what I've mentioned here. It's a cyclic in nature. Is clear? Please don't get overloaded. That is the point. When we do communication in examination, we take too much of information. That becomes very complicated. Don't do too much. It gets confused. Clear? Make clear points. That's all. Simple. Yes. So here the noise is the point. Field of experience is the point. In the year 1954, it has been introduced. Yes, clear. Very good. Very good. Very good, Lopa. And one more point that needs to be added in interactive model, that is, so whenever we understand things, right, there is a concept of semiotics. Semiotics, right? Semiotics is nothing but a study of science. Study of science. Okay. So when we take the semiotic, it is a study of taking the message by means of sign. We have syntactic. We discuss all these things in the PYQ session, but you kindly do note who have not done this. Pragmatic and semantic. So these are all the three different levels of understanding the communication, understanding the content. Syntactic means what? Syntactic means it talks about the rules, it talks about the grammar of the content. Pragmatic means what? It talks about the logic. In what logic we are communicating things, how we relate things, that is pragmatic. Semantic means it talks about what? Meaning. Yes, yes. Concise, concrete, simple. Yes, right. So these are the three levels. Kindly do note down. Yes? Okay. So next we move to another kind of interaction model called Wesley-McLean model. So till then we have seen models where the sender has been the source point of giving you the message. But there in this Wesley-McLean model, what happened is the external environmental factors being the source of creating the message. Right? See, all these X's are nothing but what? They are the external factors. Here are all the external factors which acts a role in creating that content. Okay, that we call it as what? Environmental factors. This X, all the external factors. Environmental factors. So that factors plays a role in creating that message. Okay, then that will be reaching A. So see, I am the sender A. Okay, I am the sender A. I have different environmental factors to create that message. The factors that influence why the message is created in that place. Right? And that we call it as what? Environmental factors that is being given to A. A is the sender, and then that sender will be doing all the things together and it will be sent. Here is a concept called a gatekeeper. Yesterday when in one Maths of Following we discussed the topic of gatekeeper. The editor of the message newspaper will be acting as a gatekeeper. What has to be sent inside, what has to be sent out. That is the role of a gatekeeper, right? So that is the work of an editor in a channel. So the editor of the message is a newspaper editor, where this applies in the mass communication. This kind of model is being applied in the mass communication. Okay. See, you take newspaper as an example. Newspaper as an example. The environmental factors will be the place where the message been created and it will be getting into the newspaper. Sports news will be there. What's that? Political news will be there, some kind of education news will be there, some kind of government policies will be there. All will be the news and it will be entering to the sender, it will be coming to the editor. And what that editor does, all he will be taking all the things and he will be sending inside which X has to be sent inside, which X has to be sent outside, which will be done. And that we call this Wesley-McLean model. And this model is not been asked, but we can expect NTA to be asked this time. This is interactive mode. Interactive mode. Okay. But they have asked about this gatekeeper, this sensory experience and all. They've asked you questions. Right? Yes. Hope clear? Enjoying the class? Yes or no? Enjoying the class? Yes or no? Put yes if you are enjoying the class, so that I'll be more boosted to take. We have completed 50 minutes. Yes. We are in live, right? Looks like neural network, ma'am. Everything is network actually. Yes, very good. Yes, thank you. Everything is neural network, Maniji. Everything is a network actually. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll start. So what do you mean by feedback? And then getting into the editor's table, right? What the editor will does, something will be written back to make it different. That is, they'll be giving the feedback, reshape it, and then it will be sent inside again. And then the message will be received and it will be changed. Right? Right? It's a sensory experience. Object of orientation, object of the sender's orientation will be there, receiver orientation will be there. How the sender is been understanding the content and is publishing on the newspaper, and on the other side how the receiver is understanding the content and how is interpreting. So right, so this model we call Wesley-McLean model. It's called Wesley-McLean model. It's an interactive model in the year 1957. Here, environmental factors act an important role in creating the message. Okay, not the source, not the sender. Here the environment acts as the major role. Clear. Next question. So this is a gist of what we have seen. What we have seen, that is linear model, interactive model, transaction model. Linear model is one-way model, direct approach model, understanding how the two parties interact, right? Just it's a linear. Interactive means what? Where two parties exchange between each other, but they work together to form a solutions, make decision and conceive innovative ideas. That is interactional. Transactional means what? They involve dialogue and mutual understanding. Okay, they actively participate in the communication, and that we call transactional model of communication. This is the gist of linear, interactive and transactional. Be clear with the types, right? Linear model, what are the linear models? Aristotle model. I'll make a quick gist of what models we have seen so far. Aristotle model, Lasswell model, Berlow's SMCR model and Shannon-Weaver model. These are the four linear models. Take interactive model. What are the models we have seen under interactive model? Under interactive model, we have not seen the transactional model. What are the things we have seen under interactive model? We have seen Wesley's model, Wesley's-McLean model, and we have seen Wilbur-Scram model. Now we are going to move to transactional model. What is transactional model? Why I gave you transactional at last is I don't want to confuse you. That's why I go transaction model to the last. So in transaction model, we have doing two-way message process. So sender and receiver simultaneously send and receive the messages. Okay. Here we have a concept. Here also we have a concept of noise. See, the noise is there. Noise is there in the terms of the sender, in terms of the receiver, and in the terms of the channel also we'll be having the noise. And here it is a concept of multi-layered feedback system. What do you mean by multi-layered feedback system is, here the on the side of the sender is also there will be a kind of layers will be there. Receiver also there will be some kinds of things will be there, and in channel also will be a kind of things will be there. Okay, that we called as what? Multi-layered feedback system. One will be sends here, the receiver will sends back again the sender will take, he will be sends back again. So whenever the sender takes a message, there are many different processes has to be done, and that we called multi-layered feedback system. In transactional model, we don't worry about conveying things. We also worried about how the things has been conveyed, in what verbal they have been conveying things, in what non-verbal way they are conveying things. We'll be concerned about the tone of voice. We are concerned about your eye contact, about the facial expression, about the gesture of the sender and the receiver. Each and every mode of communication is said to be given importance, and that we call it as what? Transactional model of communication. So in transactional model, we transact things and we concentrate on verbal, non-verbal parameters. Ma'am, can you explain? Yes, yes. Yes, Niveta. Simplex, duplex, half duplex. Yes. Yes, I will explain you the concept of transactional model again. Don't worry. Transactional model of communication is based on a two-way process. I'm here, you're also here, and not only the concerns about sending and receiving the message. The concern is be also on the how I send the message, what kind of I'll be giving importance to your non-verbal things. I'll be giving importance of how you react to those things. All these parameters will be taken into consideration when it comes to transaction model of communication. Okay. All these things will be taken into consideration when it comes to transactional model of communication. Whereas in interactive, that is not the major thing. Yes. When I transaction model, right, it also consider the relationship that I have with you, the social system and the cultural differences. Everything will be taken into consideration when it comes to transaction model of communication. Yes. Yes. Sudha, do you get the point clear? It takes the physical context, it takes the psychological context, it takes the social context. All the context will be taken into the consideration for doing transaction of getting messages. We will see, don't worry. 1 minute, we will see. Okay, see, there are some models of transaction model, that is balanced transaction models. What even by balanced transaction model is, here we have a sender, we have a receiver, and through which it encodes a message, sends to the channel, message is being given to the receiver, again he can send. See, this is transaction. This we call as what? Transaction model, right? And here there is a multi-layered feedback system. What do you mean by multi-layered feedback system is, where in each will element, like in center we have different layers, we have to, based on the feedback, it has to be responded, right? That we called multi-layered feedback system, and they will be concerned with your verbal and non-verbal communication plays an important role. How I react, how I look at you when I convey things to you, same time when you convey me, how I receive your non-verbal communication. All these things are said to be considered in the balanced transactional model. Okay, see, whenever I'm talking to you, right, now I'm doing some kind of a communication to you, you're looking at me, my mood will affect you. Yes or no? If I'm very happy, you also be happy when you receive things. If I'm very sad, means what will happen? You will not get the content clearly. You will also understand that I'm sad. That is transactional. You understand? To make it very clear, if I'm very happy, it will be there on my face, right? The way I express, the way I'm telling you things will tell you whether I am in a moody state or whether I am very subtle normal state or very tensed state. You'll be able to understand. Yes, you'll be able to understand. So my psychological context will be known to you looking at my face. So that model we call transaction model. How we understand? That is the thing by means of the cues. Cues, the signal that is being given through my face. Yes, through my behavior you will understand. Okay, ma'am is in a mode of teaching class vigorously. She was taking vigorously, she is teaching. Through my behavior, the way I speak, if I stuck somewhere else means I'll be stucking with some content inside my mind. Right? So if I'm just flowing like something means I would have prepared well and I'm teaching you. So that is a behavior. So through my verbal and non-verbal cues, you will be able to understand in what state I am. Psychologically, I am in a good state of taking class today. I want to complete communication entirely. So that is my state. So I want to transact the things which I have to you so that you will be understood. Yes or no. And that we call transactional model. And you get doubts. You're just telling me. I'm clarifying you. Here, this is also interaction. But here, you concentrate on the way I'm telling you. Yesterday in app class, what you did, I was telling, whenever I'm taking DA, everybody is going out, I was telling. What you all did, you all stay back, right? So you gave the response to the words that I told you. So there you give respect to the verbal communication I did. That is the example of transactional model. Yes or no? Clear? Clear? Hope clear. Very good. So in Berland's transaction model, there are some kinds of importance being given where there we see for noise interference, right? Similarly, we have some concepts here like cues, context and noise. Cues, context and noise. Please guys, learners, listen. These are all the terms that we'll be getting in the question. Like cues, context only we'll be getting. Okay. So what do you mean by cues? Cues is nothing but a signal or a prompt. It is a signal or a prompt where that is physical or environmental signals. So there are three types of cues that are being generated. Public cues, private cues and behavioral cues. What do you mean by a public cue? Means a public cue is nothing but a signal. Okay. It's a public cue means where we will get through a physical or environmental, right? And that we call it as a public cue. A private cue means what? The sense of myself. Okay, when I transact something to you, I'll be having some kind of sense inside myself, and that we call it a private signal. Private signal is what I have to tell in a correct way. My throat has to be very clear, and I have to make a good eye contact, right? I have to write well. These are all the private cues when I do transaction. When I do transaction, yes. Good morning, Tamim. Good morning. So that we call it as what? Private cue. Behavioral cue means what? The non-verbal and verbal cues that I use to make you understand. The same way you also have that cues. Clear? See, transaction is I'm talking to you. You are responding to me and you concentrate on my face, but I was not able to see you. But if it's a physical class, I'll be looking at all you people's face. How you respond? Are you interested? Are you bored? These things will be dealt. That is called transactional model. Where interaction, I'll be telling, you'll be responding. No concentration will be dealt on the non-verbal or the verbal. I will not worry whether you talk, you sleep. I never worry. I will take my class and I'll go. Interaction will be there. Transaction means what? I'll be worried about your non-verbal and verbal cues of that you have in yourself. Yes. So behavioral means non-verbal and verbal. And next importance will be shown on the context. So when I communicate to you, I'll be giving importance towards the context. What do you mean by context? On the last class, I gave you the examples between the content and the context. Right? What is the content? What is context? Here I am taking about what? The communication. I am taking about communication for paper 1. Communication is the context. Net paper 1 is your content, right? So social context. So social context means what? Whenever I communicate something to you, I have to keep in mind about the societal rules and regulations before I talking to you. Here I am talking through YouTube channel. I have to have the mind of YouTube rules and norms before communicating to you through this chat. That is social context, right? See, now here we are talking in English, we can talk in Tamil, whatever things, right? So how people communicate with each other in respect to the society, we call it as societal context. Cultural context means we are going for a festival in our home place means, right, there everything will be dealt with respect to a cultural context, right, with respect to our cultural identity. We will be talking to each other, we will be sharing things, right, and that we call cultural context. Relational context means what? Here I am talking to my daughter, talking to my husband, talking to my mother, talking to my friends, right. I am talking with respect to relational aspects. I am transacting things to my people with respect to relation, that we call relational context. Clear? See, here societal context, with respect to society, there are some rules through which I have to communicate. How communicate? Cultural context means what? If I go to a family festival, right? If I go for a festival or not, it's in respect to cultural differences, right? So how we talk to each other with respect to age, with respect to gender, with respect to different nationality, people are coming, how we talk. You go by train, you're supposed to meet a person who is an is a foreigner, right? How we will talk to that person with respect to cultural aspects only. We will be talking, hey, I am an Indian, you are from which country? And he'll be saying, oh, you're from this country, very good, super. In our place, these are all very famous things. What is your famous things in your place? So we'll be talking in terms of cultural context. Clear? Relational context means I'm talking to my daughter. In what aspect I'm talking to my daughter? Okay, I'm talking to my daughter as she is my daughter, and she will be talking to me that I am her mother. You'll be telling, right? Just remember that you're talking to my mother. Don't think that you're talking to your friend. You'll be telling, right? That is the relational context. Clear? Yes? Learners, respond me so that I'll be going. Next comes the, with respect to the noise. Okay. So this respect to the physical, physiological, psychological, semantic. This I will not repeat. In the last slides, we'll be explaining about the barriers of communication. There will also have the same explanation. You try to understand here itself. Right? Physical context means what? Whenever we do interaction, right, with respect to the physical space, I've told you before, physical means the place, the infrastructure, environment, all these things we call it as a physical context, where we speak in our school, in our home, in our friend's place, in our public place, how we speak, right? That's called physical context. Whenever we go to a public place, right, our children will shout. What will say? Hey, you have a sense or not? We are in a public place. Talk slowly. You will be telling them. That is physical context. So, with respect to physical context, we have to communicate. Physiological context means what? How a body responds to the place where we work, right? So internal means what? We having some kind of a headache, some kind of a stomach pain, a body ache is coming, right? Then we call hunger. We have, that's all internal context. External means what? That room is very hot. The color of the room disturbs me a lot, right? All these things we call the external context. Psychological context is the cognitive level, the emotion level, the feeling level, how we respond to things, right? That is the psychological context. Semantic context means how we understand and interpret the things, and that we call semantic context, right? So this is how, when we transact things to people, when we transact, we communicate to people, right? These are all the things has to be kept in mind. You remember the cues, you remember with respect to the context, with respect to noise, you kindly please. Yes, clear? So in general, we can say that the communication is complex, continuous and dynamic. Complex means what? Complex means what? It is very complex. We cannot understand what all the people are telling. Now I am talking here for nearly 1 hour. It is not sure that you all people should have understood. There are some terms will be complex for some people, not all. Some terms will be complex for some people. So some people will felt it's complex. For some, communications have to be a continuous process. I'll be asking, telling you something. You will be asking me something. With the feedback which I receive, I'll be telling you again tomorrow's class. I'll be taking. It's a continuous one, and it is a dynamic process. It's mean it's keep on changing. It's keep on changing. Yes, clear? Right. So this is about the balance transaction model. And then next moves to helical model of communication. It means also comes under the, this comes under the transaction model. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't clear. So it is being given in the year 1957. 1957. Here we have 6 steps, that is initiating, understanding, perceiving, evaluating, reacting, and reflecting. Note down these steps. We can expect any kind of questions. I am trying to cover as much as possible. Yes, this we call it as helical model of communication. Yes. Mm. Clear? One small correction, it is 1967. Small typing error, it is 1967. Do correct. Do change it. It is 1967. Yes. Okay. What example can we have for this helical model of communication? What model can we have? Initiating, understanding, pursuing, evaluating, reacting, and reflecting. Here, this involves both sender and receiver in the feedback process. In this model, communication is viewed as an ongoing cycle of thoughts and feelings between two or more individuals. This is a ongoing process of communication that happens between two or more persons. You take example of yourself or with your another person. It can be a mother, it can be a father, your husband, your children, your friend, anybody can be, right? What will happen is, if you take a child, right, the child will be starting at his birth, right? Yes, here is important. Here is important. Last time, I think so, they have asked for the sequence of this models of communication. They've asked for the sequence. So the day one the child wants, right, it will cry like something, she will be crying. The communication, the first communication is cry. And then slowly as days goes on, the communication, they were staring at us, showing reactions and all, the communication just evolves. As they, how they will learn is, depends on the past activities they will be learning today. So next day depends on the previous day. So they will be learning. It will be keep on going, right? And that we call it as what? The helical model of communication, right? Right? It's like have you seen DNA, right? DNA, that is the helical. This structure is nothing but what? The helical view, right? So it moves forward as well as also backward, because the backward is depends on the yesterday's behavior. Yesterday only you told me, right, to be like this. Today you are telling not to behave like this. The children will be telling to us, right? So that we call it as what? The helical model of communication. Clear? Yes. It's endless. It's keep on going. That's what we are telling. Till the life goes on, we'll be changing. Yes. Yes. Pushpalata, what difficult? What difficult? So we have completed a very major part of communication, that is models. So inside models, we have seen so many different small terminologies that we use in which is coming in an examination. Hope you are all clear with the models of communication, so that I'll be moving to the next types of communication. With this understanding, definitely we can understand, we can attend a different perspective of question. Thank you. Thank you, Full Moon. Thank you. Okay, shall I move to the next topic? If you are clear, please do take notes. After the class, you can go back, take the important points. The PDF of this class will be uploaded in the Unified Study app. Okay, Unified Study app will be uploading the PDF. Those who are new to the channels, please kindly download the Unified Study app. And in app, we are doing previous year questions. 1 minute. Yes, clear. Thank you, Monica, for your appreciation. Thank you. Do like the session, share with your friends. This is definitely going to be a revision for you all. When you revise, you can answer questions. I'll it's my experience. I'm telling you. If you look at all these concepts with that connectivity, we can answer many questions. So that is my perspective. Okay. With that understanding, we can, in examination, we cannot read all the 100% of topics covered. Definitely, it's not possible. There are things which we can attend only by connecting things. When you understand this thing, you can answer this one. When you understand this one, you can answer this one. So for that, we have to understand this one, base, right? So try to understand the base so that we can answer the branches. Can you see my image? So those who are new to the channel, please kindly visit unifystudy.com. Here we are doing PYQs practice course on paper 1 with June latest pattern questions. Here we are doing with the latest pattern question, and we are doing regularly 1 day, 1 DI regularly. So far we have done some 16 DIs so far. So till we have 30 more days for our examinations. Here we are yet to do some 30 more DIs, and we have also planned for DI exclusive session. Please do join so that we'll have a better understanding of doing DIs, because DI plays a vital role, because that 5 out of 5 will gives you your JRF or your net past and prof session, right? So doing DI is very essential. So we are practicing daily 1 day 1 DI with all June March 2023 question we are practicing, and along we also doing with computer science and net paper 2 and UGC net paper 1 joining also, both combo also we are giving you. Kindly do visit unifystudy.com. Daily we are meeting at 8 p.m. for the paper 1 course, 8 p.m. to 9:30, and similarly we have a for computer science we have 2 batches, one in the morning and one in the evening we are doing, right? And also we are doing it on YouTube also. As we have 1 month more, kindly do enroll and practice more and use more conceptual understanding to get your JRF and your net assistant profession. Yes. So with that, I move to the next question. So next we move to different types of communication. So types of communication are based on the way we talk, right? Based on the purpose, it is being differed. We have interpersonal, interpersonal, transpersonal, group, mass, verbal, non-verbal, formal, informal. These are the major types of communication. So we will be doing one by one. What do you mean by interpersonal communication? Note down the points along with their characteristics. Listen to me carefully so that you will not forget. Please do listen to me. What do you mean by interpersonal communication? So when I do exchange information with a person on the either side, it can be 2 or it can be more. When I communicate with them, and that we call it as interpersonal communication. Example, when I do a phone call to my friend, when I talk to my family members, when I talk to my friends face to face, and there I do what? Interpersonal communication. So doing interpersonal communication, what is the characteristics of interpersonal communication? Whenever I do interpersonal, I am supposed to understand the people, what they are telling, for what concern they are talking, why we do interpersonal communication, what is the importance of interpersonal communication. Doing interpersonal communication is very much important, starts from our home. I want to talk to my mother, my father, my in-laws, my husband, my children. I have to spend my interpersonal, create an interpersonal relationship with all these persons, right? Because that only will create a connect between the people. This is at the family level. When we go for a workplace, right, there we are supposed to maintain an interpersonal relationship between the peer group members. We cannot go and turn our face like this in a workplace, right? We have to maintain an interpersonal relationship, because why to maintain an interpersonal relationship is that only will create a positive thing within yourself and among that place. So that is the reason of creating interpersonal relationship. It is not nothing, a thing for doing nothing with position and all, right? Creating a good interpersonal relationship will create a very good vibe around the place. That will be good for you, and it will be good also for the persons around you. And whenever we feel down, that interpersonal relationship only will gives us some medicine to us. So that is very important at our home, at our workplace, wherever we go. Even though you talk to a stranger, there we have to maintain a good interpersonal relationship. Okay, not you should not talk with other persons like E. You will know whom to talk, whom not to talk, that we will know. That is not a thing. But to create a good communication, to create a good relationship, there we have to maintain a good interpersonal relationship, exchanging of messages between two or more people. And there are some examples like face to face, phone call, sign language, sending a letter, eye contact. All these comes under the interpersonal relationship. How the questions will be coming is where to maintain a good interpersonal relationship. In this place, interpersonal relationship is must or not. In that case, you will be getting question. So maintaining a good interpersonal relationship with the family is must, with the workplace is must, so that the aura will be good, the experience will be good. That we call it as what? Interpersonal relationship. Clear? Clear? Yes. Next we move to intrapersonal communication. What do you mean intrapersonal? Whenever I do communication to myself, my personal internal dialogue, my self-talk, which can be conscious or unconscious, subconscious, right? And that I call it as what? An intrapersonal communication. And that we call it as what? An intrapersonal communication. Yes. So when we do self-talk, when we do internal dialogues, you think, whenever us many housewives are there, or many working women are there, we'll be planning ourselves in such a way that we have to plan, okay, we have to do these things, we have to do these things, we'll be planning in that way. Okay, tomorrow we'll be talking to ourselves, right? I have told you before, the people around us will ask, what is this guy is doing, always talking to himself or herself, they'll be telling. But what we are doing planning. What we are doing planning, right? So that we call it as a self-talk. That we call it as a self-talk. Clear? Yes? That we call as self-talk. That can be done conscious or subconscious. Subconsciously, when we sleep in the night, we'll get a dream, right? We'll be talking in the dream. That's called also intrapersonal. Daydreaming, dreaming, right? That is also a concept of intrapersonal. So what is that intrapersonal? That is a cognitive process where we do internal dialogue and understand ourselves better, not others better. Understanding ourselves to feel better. And that we call it as what? Intrapersonal. Self-talk, daydreaming, self-reflection, self-motivation, goal setting, meditation, writing. Okay, if you are very angry means, if you are very sad means, don't worry, don't go to anybody and cry. Don't go to anybody and cry. Close the door, sit, take a paper, write it down something, all your anger, all your things, write it down. Everything will be, just take a form of words, tear it off, throw it in the dustbin, just go to the next job. That is the simple way. That's the intrapersonal way. If you go and talk to another person, that will become a gossip. It depends upon with whom you are sharing the thing. If the person who is a well-wisher, no problem. But if you go and talking to a person who is not a well-wisher, it will become a gossip and it will goes off something like that. Do better writing. It's an intrapersonal, right? Better writing. Mind mapping, how it comes here, Lopa? Meditation, all these things comes under intrapersonal. We have three main types of intrapersonal communication: self-awareness, perception, expectation. So when I do interpersonal communication, right? So I'll be getting more awareness about myself. Okay, it will be telling who am I. It will be telling what is my purpose of doing, how to interact with people. It will be telling, hey, do you have sense? Or you don't know how to behave to that person, how to know how to talk to that person. So you'll be getting more about yourself. Okay, so be aware of yourself. That is a type of interpersonal communication. Second one is what? Perception. So perception is the way people interpret their environment and other individuals. So whenever I do interpersonal relationship, right, this perception is the one of the type. Okay, so the perception of myself, it all depends upon how we interact within myself. So it's a way I interpret the environment. If some people say do something, he is such kind, we cannot change. It's not my duty also. We have to accept the nature, right? That we'll be telling, and that we call the perception. That is my perception. That comes only by means of intrapersonal communication. Expectation. Expectation are an individual's hopes, dreams, aspiration for their present or future. For myself, I have an own expectation to be done. So how to reach my expectations? This is myself. Clear? And these are the three types of intrapersonal communication: self-awareness, perception, and expectation. Yes, clear? Clear? Yes, we'll move fast as the time is 11:24. Mass communication. What do you mean by mass communication? So whenever interpersonal between two, intrapersonal within me, mass communication means I'm just going with the mass number of audience, a larger segment of audience, and we do it as a mass communication. Yes, so it's a process of imparting, exchanging information through a mass media to a large population segments. Here, what are the characteristics of a mass communication? Here, the audience will be anonymous. Here the audience will be anonymous. Here they will be heterogeneous. What do you mean by heterogeneous? They will be of different kinds of people. They will be, don't know who we are talking to. Everybody are anonymous, right? Everybody are heterogeneous set of people. So we are be talking to a large population of people through mass media. So that can be through print media, broadcast media, transit media, digital media. Through these medias we will be communicating. See, please learners have a just have a point in your mind. We are also be supposed to be clear with all these things, right? And also with respect to the current technology, we have to be updated, like podcast, blogs, vlogs. What do you mean by blogs? What do you mean by vlogs? What do you mean by podcasts? What do you mean by audio podcasts, right? About social media platforms, we have to be aware with the current technologies. Okay, now with this class it's not possible, but I'm telling you which things we have to learn. Okay, you can learn about all these kinds of current trends, right? So that will be easy for us. So print media will be a kind of a mass media: newspaper, magazines, books, novels, comics, journals, publication. These are kinds of because they print and will be spreading to a mass number of people will be reading their content. Broadcast media is films, television, radio. It comes under the broadcast media. They broadcast, right? And the billboards. Billboards means what? The hoardings, the flyers will be there, right? All those things, posters, banners. That are outdoor and transit media. Digital media means YouTube, Twitter, Insta, Facebook, WhatsApp, all kinds of social media, WeChat, everything. And video platforms, YouTube. What are the video platforms that we avail to spread the news, right? And websites, mobile apps, ebooks, podcasts, online radio systems. All we call it as mass communication. Through the mass communication, we spread news. You have to understand what is synchronous, asynchronous here. Am I overloading with content? No, right? Am I overloading with the content? No. We are doing revision, right? Yes. No. Yes. All are aware of these things, right? Vetri, am I overloading? Vetri saying yes. Okay. Synchronous and asynchronous. What do you mean by synchronous communication? What do you mean by asynchronous communication? Synchronous means when I tell you something, immediately I'll be getting back. That's called synchronous communication. Asynchronous means I'll not get immediately. It with respect to time. How far I get response, we call it as what? Synchronous and asynchronous. Okay. Right, next one. Next is transpersonal communication. What do you mean by transpersonal communication, psychology or communication? Yes. So transpersonal communication means what? It is beyond the level. Intrapersonal, we're doing it to ourselves, right? Transpersonal is, it's beyond. It's beyond our awareness level when we do something, and that we call it as transpersonal communication. The experience that extend our awareness beyond our individual sense, that we call it as what? Transpersonal communication. Note down this point. This may be asked. So which can cause a perceptual shift in our world we accompanied by emotion like awe, wonder, joy, and peace, which will give a different perspective, right? If what is this? You know what is this? You know what is this? No, actually, this when we go to some points in Earth, right? In India, we can see this Milky Way galaxy. What we are in the Milky Way galaxy, right? India in 2 points we can see this Milky Way galaxy. Okay, that's the peakest point, right? Ladakh, we can see this point. And I think so. It is will be in the month of September. I think so. Correctly, I don't know. Ara, yes. It's not Ara. Okay, it's not Ara. It is a galaxy. Yeah, universe. Yes, it's universe. Yes. So these are all the things which is beyond our consciousness and awareness. When we go right, we can go beyond that level of thinking. Yes, beyond that level. So taking ourselves beyond that awareness, we are thinking only this small levels, right? But when we take our brain and ourselves, it goes somewhere beyond that extent. It's there are much things are there in the human body to be known and also this universe to be known. That we call it as transpersonal communication. Clear? If I go means I'll be go deep into it, then I'll leave the communication part. I have to come into communication. Come. Next we move to group communication because those are all very interesting topics. Group communication means what? Group communication means it's an act of sending and receiving messages to multiple members of a group. We call it as a group communication. See, this is a group communication. I sit together and make discussion and I'll bring some point, right? I'll take some decision, I'll exchange some ideas, doing some brainstorming and all comes under group communication. Yes, group communication. It's an act of sending and receiving messages to multiple members of a group. And in a business environment, groups often use this type of things to do ideas, determine the goals, motivate other members, and to take decisions also. This is group communication. You just have the comparison of interpersonal, intrapersonal, mass communication and group communication with respect to the size. Okay, interpersonal to intrapersonal within ourselves, mass communication a large number, group communication with a small number. Just have that ideology. Yes, clear? Yes, okay. Next we move to verbal communication, non-verbal communication. What do you mean by verbal communication? Whatever we do through words, right? We call it as what? Verbal communication. That can be in forms of words. Whenever I talk to a person, I do verbal communication. Whenever I give a speech to you, I'm doing verbal communication. I'm using words to express things to you. When I'm teaching, I use verbal communication. When I go out, I talk to people, I do verbal communication. So there I use what? Words as the things to exchange information, where that exchange can have the concept, the emotion and the knowledge. Where that can have what? The concept, emotion and the knowledge. Through the words, I can exchange what? Now I'm exchanging the concept of communication. Now I am exchanging some kind of emotions with you. That will be a positive type of emotion I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing my knowledge to you, right? So you are getting some concepts, my emotions, my knowledge, you are grasping to yourself. Yes, and this we call it as verbal communication. What are the examples? We can have phone call, speaking, talking to a group, ordering food, asking for something. It's all examples. What do you need to do have a good verbal communication? I need to know how to use my voice, right? I should know how to use my volume, how to use my tone, how to make you to all to listen, right? How to use appropriate humor. That is very important. Giving monotonous of information will make you sleep, right? So in between, I am supposed to use some kind of humors to make you alive to attend my class, right? So strategic pauses. Somewhere I will be stopped. Tell me what it is. Tell me. I'll be keep silent. That's a strategic process. So these are all the effective verbal communication that we use to make our communication effective, right? So we'll be getting questions in this topic of what are all the effective way of doing verbal communication, and you'll be getting questions from the examples. These kind of things can be asked in the verbal communication. Yes, clear? Yes. Next we move to the types of verbal communication. Here intrapersonal will be there, interpersonal will be there, small group communication will be there, public communication will be there, mass communication will be there. Is it clear? This is all we have seen, right? Intrapersonal, interpersonal, small group, mass communication and public communication. communication. So these all comes under what? The types of verbal communication. In intrapersonal, talk to ourselves. Interpersonal, talk to our friends. Small group communication, we will be talking to our a small group of people. In public communication, we will be talking about what? Talking to a group, large people, large number of people. Aristotle model, linear model of communication, right? Public communication. And in mass communication, through mass media, I'll be giving through media, I'll be reaching a large number of people. You should be clear with the that ideologies, right? Exactly clear. Next, I move to non-verbal communication. So it is a process of communicating to people without using words. So if I keep silent, if I show my gestures, my facial expression, my eye contact, right? All these things are called as a non-verbal communication, right? So we can understand when how a student sit in the classroom, we can understand whether is in a right mood or not, whether they are interested or not, whether they are attentive or not. That speaks, right? Whenever a person, a relative or a guest comes to our home, when we receive them by standing up, that is a non-verbal communication. When we sleep like something like this, come, it means what? That we are not showing the respect towards them. We are not interested with their arrival. We are not interested. That means that, right? Whenever we are not talking to people by looking at their eyes, means we are not ready to talk to that person. That's the meaning. Here nowadays, many people are not talking to people through their eyes at all. They're all talking to some, doing some other work, and then they're attending them. But that is not a good gesture of behaving, right? So whenever we talk, right, we have to talk through the eye contact. That shows the respect, right? So the way we respond to them, right? When in college, we have seen whenever we ask something, nowadays boys are all answering, not standing, they're answering. They're just going like something like that, and then answering. They're answering and going. We have to listen to them, what he was telling. That is a kind of respect they are showing that is not good, right? So that non-verbal communication shows how respectful they are and how interested they are in that communication. Clear? Yes. He'll be going something like that. That boy will be going and going and going and answering. We have to stand and see and what he is telling. It means he is not interested to talk to me, and there is no respect towards me. That's me. Clear. So how can we express the non-verbal? By means of the facial expression, the gestures, the body language, the eye contact, through which I can create a thing, right? The eye contact is very must. The body language is very must. We'll be looking at all the types of non-verbal communication. Note down, this is very, 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 very important. Next upcoming non-verbal communication. It's very important. Clear with this? Yes. Right. These are the types of non-verbal communication. Starts appearance, paralinguistic, body movement, gesture, posture, facial expression, eye contact, haptics, proxemics, chronomics, artifacts, environment. I just put a kind note to you. Don't get tensed of looking so much of things. It is actually very, 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 very dead easy. Okay, very, very dead easy. Nothing is there inside it. It's all day-to-day life. What we are doing, they have just given us. So don't take it very hectic. Don't take it very serious. Oh, so much of thing is there. Don't tell your brain. I'll make you feel very easy to understand. Appearance. The way we dress, right? That talks about the appearance. That tells you non-verbal communication. When I go to an interview, I have to go in such a way that in a neatly dressed, neatly groomed, neatly combed hair, neatly dressed either in a chudidar or a sari or if a boy or a male means in a neatly tucked in formal costume, you have to go. So that will be communicating that is he interested to do the job and he is being able to. Even though he is poor, right? He will be maintaining how to be clean and neat. He'll be just putting his scarf and correcting his hairstyle. That will communicate to that person that he is interested to do that thing. That is appearance. Paralinguistic means what? Paralinguistic is a type of a non-verbal communication that talks about the sound. This talks about the sound, that is audio of a person. What tone I use, what volume I use, what accent I use, what inflection I use. See, you'll be able to identify at home. When we are small, if our father comes with if he shouts at only one shout is enough, we will be understood. Appa is very much angry. We should not talk. We should keep quiet. So that is a paralinguistic thing. On on listening to the tone of a father or mother, we will understand whether father is in a good mood or not. So that tone and volume will be telling us that he is in a good mood or not. That is called as a paralinguistic, right? In what I said. Yeah, okay. I used to understand when my father calls me my name, right? In what tone he calls me, I can understand whether my father is in a good mood or in bad mood. So that tone, that we call it as what? Paralinguistic. Please try to note down the tone, the pitch, the volume, the accent that we use are all related to paralinguistics. Body movement. So how I sit in a classroom, how I sit in my personal room, how I sit in a common public place. Okay, how I use my body to convey things, that we call it as bodily movement. And we call gestures. What is being my gestures? How I use my arms, how I use my hands to during communication, right? And that we call it as a gesture. When something falls on us, what we'll do, we'll be just having our hands to block, right? Gestures. So how I use my hand and arms and shoulder, right? I call it as the gesture. And posture means how I pose. When I'm taking you class, I have to be in a good position, right? That we call it as posture. I have to sit straight. When I'm talking to you, I have to talk in a very in a positive way. This shows a positive way that I'm interested to talk to you. That is posture. When I was like this, right? Putting my shoulder like this, then it shows he's not interested in talking. Hope so. That's with the position that how we stand. He may be tired, I think so. He was not standing in the right position. I think he may be tired. He has to be taken care. So all these things we call it as posture, okay? And then facial expression, very, very important. That talks about the emotion, right? Emotion. That tells that you're happy, angry, fear, frightened, frustrated, irritated. All that facial expression will be convey things. My daughter used to say, "Amma, I know, okay, I'll not ask you anything. I know that you are very much tensed or very much angry. I'll not ask you anything. Okay, leave it, leave it." She'll be telling. So reading at my face, she will be telling, "I'm angry or I'm in happy mood." She will understand. That's called facial expression, right? And then eye contact. Whenever we communicate, have a good eye contact. If I'm not doing eye contact, means I'm not interested with that conversation. It means, and that study we called oculics. It's called what? Oculics. Note down the point, right? When I stare at people, when I blink like something, when I show the eyebrows, right? When I see something, eyebrows will be gone up, right? So all these things we call as oculics. Oculics. And next comes the haptics. So what the touch, right? Touch. How the touch. It also communicates something, right? We teach our children good touch, bad touch. Okay, we'll be saying a positive stroke. We'll be, when we are very happy or very sad, we'll be hug a person who with our loved ones, right? That hug will gives us a positive energy, and that communication we call it as a haptics, right? When we go and hug a mother or father, right? Their hug will gives us a good kind of a vibe towards. They will be telling us through the hug, "I'm here, don't worry." So that hug will be telling us, "I'm here, don't worry." That secure feeling, right? That is haptics. It's the touch, the study of touching, right? The touching will gives you some communication. What communication they are giving? "Don't worry, I'm here. Why you worry?" That way the touch is giving us, right? Whenever somebody is very sad, we'll go and hold their hands and say, "You don't worry, I'm here for you. Why you worry?" So that touch will tells us, "I'm here for you." That is haptics. Haptics, note it down. Proximity means what? Yesterday we saw in the PYQ session, right? Proximity. Proximity means a distance. What distance we talk with each other. The interpersonal space between people will tell you the intimacy level, the public level, right? It's called the proximity. It talks about the interpersonal distance. Chronemics means what? It talks about the time. In some places, they are very much strict to time. 11 o'clock means 11 o'clock. Stick to the time. And that we call it as what? Chronemics. With respect to time, when we do something, it's chronemics. We are telling today is the Diwali. We have to celebrate at this time. So that time is what? That 5 o'clock, early morning, 3:30 to 5:30, we call it Brahma Muhurta time. That time when we study. So anybody studying at that 3:30, 5 o'clock, we can understand that he is a very spiritual kind of person. We can understand. Chronemics. It talks about time. Artifact means what? The people, there are some jewelries which tells they belong to this place. You have noticed there are some Kerala style jewelry. When they wear that kind of jewelry, we'll say they belong to Kerala. There are some jewelry which belong to in Tamil Nadu, right? We will say this jewelry belongs to Tamil Nadu. They will be from Tamil Nadu. This is a kind of jewelry from North India. So this kind of a typical Marathi jewel set will be selling. This will belong to some Bengali jewel set. So by means of artifacts, we'll be telling they belong to this category. That's called artifact. We call artifact the jewelry, the tattoos, the dressings that we wear, right? Saris, if you take each place of different kinds of saris are there, so that will tell us about the place, right? It's artifact. And the next one is I'll hide my image. Next one is environment. Environment means what? It talks about the location, office. When I'm very happy, right, what I'll do, I'll go to that shop and I'll have some coffee. It means he is in good mood, I think. So that is why he is sitting in that shop and he's having some coffee. So that tells me the non-verbal communication that communicates. That environment talks about the non-verbal communication. These are all the types of non-verbal communication has to be learnt. Okay, what we have to learn is we have to learn these terms. Okay, these terms. Paralinguistic means voice, tone, volume, pitch and all. See here, this body movement, gesture and posture and facial expression all come together under kinesthetics. Kinesthetic means what? Kinesthetics means what? It is a kind of bodily movement we call kinesthetic. Right? Kinesthetic. This has been also been asked as a question. Thank you, Full Moon. Thank you. I had and then only I started. I know when I take, I have to feel complete. That's why I had water and then I started. Kinesthetic means body movement, gesture, posture, facial expression all comes under the concept of kinesthetics. Okay, we have to know the study of this one. That is very, very important. Clear? Clear? So, and this haptics has another word called tactile. Tactile. Tactile means also touch. Make it note. Tactile means also it's touch. Sorry, it's touch. Note it down. Okay. Yes, very good. Next we move to formal and informal communication. Whenever we do, this also comes under the types of communication. What do you mean by formal communication and informal communication? If you have not noted down, no worries. After the class completed, you can go back and you can also do it. Next, we move to formal versus informal communication. What do you mean by formal communication? Whenever we do a formal way of communicating things to in an organization, we do some formal communication. In family, we do some kind of a formal communication with the parents, right? With the parents. Sometimes with our husband too, we do some kind of a formal communication. We will be telling, hey, this is what has been happened. This has been done. What can we do? Very formal it will be, right? Formal means it will be very planned and a serious one. That's formal. Don't mistake. It will be very serious and planned one that we call it as a formal. Informal means what? It is not having that much of seriousness towards the thing. That's informal, we'll say. So formal communication will take a place of a serious one. It is of serious and planned one. It is formal communication. So in formal communication, we have some types like horizontal communication, vertical communication, diagonal communication. Note down the communication types: horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. Yes. Bishwapriya, I don't know whether I will be able to complete the whole unit, but I try to finish as much as possible. Clear? I will try to complete as much as possible. Yes. You want me to cover means I have to take 1 more hour. You will take and try to complete. I need 1 more hour to complete the rest of communication part. I try. So horizontal, vertical and diagonal. Okay, horizontal means what? See, take this example. Here's a managing director. Here's the director 1, director 2, director 3. And under each director, we'll be having managers. Rohit wants me to take 1 more. Don't worry, I will complete it another batch. Okay. I will complete it another batch. Today I planned only for till 12 to 12:15 I have planned. I'll try to complete. No worry. Right, come on to the content. Director 1, Director 2, Director 3. Manager 1, Manager 2, Manager 3 are under this Director 1. Director 3, we have 3 managers. Right? So, whenever we say, right, this level of communication, that we call horizontal communication. Here, when Director 1, 2 and 3 communicate each other, and then we call it as what? That we call it as horizontal level communication. The people at same level, the keyword is what here is the same level. The people at same level communicate to each other. We call it as horizontal communication. Vertical communication means what? There in vertical communication, we have two types. In vertical, we have two types of communication. One is top down. Another one we have bottom up. That is top down means downward communication. Downward communication, and this is upward communication. Note down. What do you mean by downward communication is downward, top to down. Whenever a director give instruction to a manager, right? Whenever a director give instruction to a manager, and that we call it as what? A top down communication. Whenever a manager give instruction to a, sorry, not instruction, request something to a director, we call it as what? It is an upward communication. How the exam, the questions will come is they will give a scene like, okay, the scene will be given. The circular is given from a director is what called is a downward communication. The circular will be circulated from the director to all the managers. So that kind of question will come. Whenever a manager requests something for an application or some kind of an obligation is being kept as, it's called as a upward communication. Whenever the people of same levels, when all these managers talk to each other, that's called as what? It is a horizontal communication. When see this manager 3 talks to director 2, we call it as what? Diagonal communication. We call it as what? Diagonal communication. What it can be is, this manager is authoritative only to, not the higher authority is only is director 1, not director 2. The person who is not the highest authority to him is director 2, right? Who is the, there is a term called reporting authority. Reporting authority. When a person directly talks to a non-reporting authority, and it's called it as a diagonal communication. When I belong to one department, directly I am talking to the another department's head means what? That is diagonal communication. This horizontal communication is also called as what? This is also called as lateral communication. Note down. This is also called as lateral communication. Yes, clear? Clear? Yes. Thank you, Akalya. Thank you. What do you mean by? Have you noted down? Horizontal, lateral, diagonal, vertical. Yes, clear. And next we have a kind of a communication called internal communication and external communication. This is very, very important. One time it has been asked in the examination. So I would wish to like to have you all in the app also to do more PYQs. Please do. Those who have not joined, you can join the app to doing more PYQs. Okay, June PYQs we are doing there. Those who have not joined, you can join through the Unified Study app. And we are external and internal communication is there. What do you mean by external communication, internal communication? See, internal communications is nothing but if notice is being given in an institution, an organization, that we call as an internal communication, right? Whenever we do emails, right, and all, we call it as what? Internal communication. Okay, so internal communication which takes place within an organization. That's we call it as a internal communication. It takes place within an organization. within an organization. So I'm working in an organization. I've been given a notice. That's a internal communication. That's a internal communication. This is outside an organization. External communication means I'm working in an organization. From other organization, I'm getting a requisition letter, or I'm getting any kind of a mail. Okay, that we call it as what? You have to understand the context from where it is being coming. That is very important. From our institution also will be getting mail. From other institution also will be getting mail. From our institution, if it comes, means that is internal communication. From outside institution means that we call it as a external communication. Yes, it's called external communication. Examples can be what? It can be notice, memos, presentation. You have to understand in which scene they are asking that question. That is very much important. Team briefing. These are all called internal communication. External communication means what? External communication means the communication that takes place outside the scene. We call it as what? External communication. External communication. Whenever we go outside, we'll be getting pamphlets from people, right? We'll be getting pamphlets from people, and that we call it as um, pamphlets. People will be distributing pamphlets. Brochures will be given from people, and those are all we call it as the external. This will be the external communication will be always more formal communication. More formal communication. Why? Because from coming from outside means definitely it has to be mostly formal. It's be a kind of a relationship that we create with outside parties. Yes, clear? Right. Very good. Remember this thing. This is between the formal and informal communication. Formal communication is structured. Informal communication that we do with our friends, families, right? It's an unplanned, unsystematic, unauthorized one. The flow will be what? It will be done through a proper chain. Formal, if I want to talk to the principal, I have to go and get consent from my HOD, and then to my dean, and then to my principal. Just a chain of hierarchy will be there. Formal communication. When I do informal communication means that is my informal communication. I can go unofficially, I can talk to any people. Okay. If I want to talk something very, very important to some person, to the higher official in the organization means I can directly go and meet him. This is an informal meeting. I have to ask you this. It's an unofficial thing. We can directly meet them and we can talk. That is an informal communication. Flexibility of a thing is formal communication. It is very rigid. In informal communication, it's very flexible. Why it is flexible? I can directly go and talk. There is no any rules and regulation. But informal means I have to get the prior permission and I have to go and meet them. And that's we call it as a formal communication, right? And it has to be gone through official channel. It is an unofficial channel. Where formal communication will be meant for a business objective, and this is for the personal need. Very, very important. Personal need will be doing for the informal communication. And it is a time-taking process. This one time has been asked in a statement-based question. Formal communication is time taking. Why formal communication is time taking is it has to go through a sequence of steps to, if I want to get a signature from a government authority means it has to go and meet each and every person's, then only we can go to the next level, right? Then only we can get that form, document can be attained. If we want to see, many of them have been applying for OBC certificate, right? What is the procedure? We have to get permission from VAO and then from RA and then from Deputy Tahsildar and then from Tahsildar. Only after VAO sign, RA will sign. Only after RA sign, Deputy Tahsildar will look into it. Then only the Tahsildar will sign. So this is a very formal. That's why it takes time. But if it is informal means what, directly will be getting into the place and you get signature and will be coming out. So the formal procedures always it takes time, it's time taking, okay? But informal it will be done very fast. And the accuracy of the formal thing is it's very accurate, legal and authentic. But this informal may be distorted, it may be a rumor, it may be a gossip one. Yes, the form of a formal application is oral and written. It is usually oral. Will anybody do gossip through written? No. Will they give any kind of written agreement? No, they'll be doing just whatever comes in their mouth, they will be talking, right? That is informal communication. And so this can be traced from where it has been come, but we cannot trace the informal communication. Example is gossip. Gossip. Okay, so formal communication has its types and the informal communication has its types. So these are the types of informal communication: single stand, gossip, probability, cluster communication. What do you mean by single stand is after I'm getting something, right? Some information I'm getting. What I'll be doing is I'll be transferring to one person, and that person will be transferring to another person, and that person will be transferring to another person. So this type of, we call it as what? Single strand communication. So like a telephone game, right? This is usually slow and distortion. This will be connecting to people, that is single strand. Okay, next comes the gossip communication. Gossip, yes, we all know, right? It will be spreading like something. It is not necessarily to this person, it will be spreading like something, right? That we call it as gossip communication. Probability communication means what? Probability means I am be there, I am telling to one person. Okay, I share with the to whom I believe a lot, right? Okay, I can tell this to this person, I believe that to this person. So among the person they believe are most likely to pass it to others. And then what will happen? That person will be spreading to some other person. And that we call it as the probability chain. What do you mean by cluster chain is, cluster chain means, no Lakshmi, as it is time, right? That's why I'm going fast. Okay, I'll go slow. Cluster chain means what? See what are clusters happening? A is telling to B, A is telling to C, A is telling to D. And from D, they are telling to set of people. And C telling to set of people. D is telling to set of people. And that is cluster chain. That spreads very quickly. It really goes like something. Right? These are all the non-informal communication. Informal communication is also called as example of gossip and also grapevine communication. Grapevine communication. Clear? Yes? Yes? Speaking slowly, slowly. Speak slowly, slowly. Yes, I'll speak slowly. If you are clear with this informal, then I'll go to the intercultural. Yes? Yes. What do you mean by culture? What do you mean by culture? What do you mean by culture? Culture is nothing but what? Actually, culture is having a belief system, a values, behaviors, which has some kind of an ideology in us. That's we call culture, right? So the way we dress, the way we eat food, the food we eat, and the living system, all these things we call this collectively, we call it as a culture. So the culture is talking about the belief system of a people, the value system of a people, the behavior of how they behave, or the arrangement, the societal arrangement, the father, mother, daughter, son, and then their in-laws, and then the children, like that, that goes, right? It talks about the culture. So it's a way of how we live, how we study, what we study, and it depends upon the employment that we have. It tells about all these things. Our culture tells about all these things. So when it comes to intercultural communication, when we do intercultural communication, it means what? So I belong to a different culture. I have told you many times in the classroom when I was taking question on cultural, intercultural communication. So I am here with one culture, right? There is another person who is different to my culture. There are another person different to my culture. So whenever we interact, what will happen? Whenever we communicate, what will happen? So it's a symbolic, interpretative, transactional, contextual process in which people differ from cultures, create shared meanings. So when I see a people who is different to my culture, okay, we'll be doing some kind of a transactional things will be done between that person and myself. Yes, because they both belong to two different cultures. So they will be transacting their own belief systems, their food habits, their context. Contextual process means what? I'll be talking about my setup, and they'll be talking about their setup, right? And each and for everything they'll be having their own interpretation. For this we do this. See, Dasra was there, right? In North India, they do what? They do Durga Puja in a grand way. Here at all, we do Navaratri in a grand way, right? We'll be doing Saraswati Puja and 3 days for Lakshmi, 3 days for Saraswati, 3 days for Shakti and all will be, right? So the culture will be different. We will be appreciating this, you will be appreciating that. And in change, we will be appreciating your culture and you will be appreciating what we do. My daughter yesterday, she was telling, Amma, everybody was putting message for Dasara, happy Dasara. So Diwali also you just put a video to and tell them Happy Diwali and this is what we are doing. You just tell them much you are telling. So that is intercultural communication. So we with different cultures we communicate something, we share something, right? Okay. So see, this is an example for interculture. I say hello, right? And in each different culture, the hello is being different. Yes. Okay. Okay, why we need to follow intercultural communication? We have to understand there are some terms that we use here in interculture. Racial prejudice. Prejudice means what? Um, Prejudice means I have some own belief system in my mind about that culture. That should not be there, right? When it comes to interculture, there should not be a concept of prejudice. I should not assume, okay, this means this culture is talking about this only, then it should be wrong, right? We should not have that concept in our mind when it comes to intercultural communication, right? So it refers to the practice of holding false and negative beliefs of one racial group for the purpose of making another racial group superior or normative. That should not be there because each and every culture has their own purpose, own strength is there. Okay, we are not supposed to talk bad about them and tell them inferior or superior. Nothing is there with doing that thing. So the racial prejudice. Prejudice means what? I create my own belief system. Racial means with respect to that culture, it's called as racial prejudice. And racial discrimination, that is a manifestation of that prejudice. So you have a belief that these people will be like this only if I assume something, and when I look at that people, I discriminate them automatically. So that is racial discrimination. And then it comes racism. Racism means that we know, right? It combines a racial prejudice with a social power. There are some places where people shows racism, right? So that has to be kept in mind. So when I do intercultural communication, these are all the terms that has to be studied, right? Next, we have terms like ethnicity, nationality, gender, sexual orientation, power, ethnocentrism. These are all the terms that we use in intercultural communication. Ethnicity means what? Ethnic wear we'll be telling, right? Ethnic wear. In Tamil Nadu, we have some kind of ethnic wear. That wear will be telling some reason. When we go for each and every state has their own ethnic wear, right? That tells about the heritage, that tells about the history. That is ethnicity. Nationality means to which nation to they belongs to. They belong to Indian, they belong to Pakistani, they are Afghanistani, they are Singapore, they are Asian people, they are American people, the nationality. Gender means what? As we all know, as a male, in our culture, we have our own responsibility. In one culture, the female have their own responsibility to be done. That's gender. Sexual orientation means what? It all towards their own, what are all the preferences that they have to do towards their relationships. That's sexual orientation. Power means what? Power means it is ability to influence others. Yesterday we had a question, right? We remember legitimate power, referent power. Yesterday we had a question. Legitimate power, referent power. You remember? That's the thing. So it's ability to influence other and control our lives. That comes under the power. Okay. Then dominant and non-dominant group. There are some people who in the culture will be a dominant people. There are some people who will be a non-dominant people, right? With respect to economic, with respect to society, they'll be like that, right? Clear? Yes, and there is a concept called ethnocentrism. So, what do you mean by ethnocentrism? Means placing one's own culture and corresponding beliefs, values, and behaviors in center in the position where it is seen as normal and right, and evaluating all other culture system against it. These are the questions which may be asked, which should not be the advantages, disadvantages, which should not be there, it should not be there, not. Thus, question will be coming. Ethnocentrism, keeping my religion as the culture as the prominent one, others I'm just against it, means that is not right, right? Because everything has a equal power in this universe, right? So that concept has to be maintained. That is ethnocentrism. Okay, right. And this one time it has been asked: high context, low context, collectivist, individualist. In culture, we have a concept called high context. What do you mean? High context means the meaning of more specifically the relationship between the people as opposed to just the words. This we call it as what? High context. One. Oh, yes. Okay. See example. High context culture means what? See, there are some places they respect to their culture the most. Okay, they will be give more utmost culture respect towards the culture. Say example, when we go for some place, right? We'll be understanding people by uh, through our words, through our actions, we'll be understanding each other. Okay. That's called high context culture. When I say it's low context culture means now they have to explicitly say tell that they have been something. They have to explicitly tell. If you come to home, when you look sad, your daughter and your parents will be easily able to understand that you are not in a good mood. Yes, she's not something, some problem is there. We have to look out that issue. Without telling, they will understand. That is high context culture. That is high context culture. The meaning of communication is the people, more specifically, as opposed to just the words. No need of telling anything, right? Just by looking at people by touch, they will understand what they feel. Okay, my mother and daughter will easily understand I'm not in a good mood. They'll be telling something, Amma is not in a good mood. They'll be telling. There are many culture, right? There are many culture across the globe. There are culture which they can understand with their looks. There are some culture where they have to explicitly tell them they are not in a good mood. That's low context culture. Just try to understand the meaning. And then we go to collectivist. When a person or culture places the needs and interests of the group above individual desires or motivation, it's called a collectivist culture. Okay, as a group of people, when they do something, it's collectivist culture. Individualist, individual. So they have their own thing to be done. That is an individualist culture people. Yes, clear. Very good. Next. Very, very important topic. This I have done so many times in the PYQs. So I'm not going to spend too much of time on this because we have seen so many barriers to effective communication. I'll be just telling you what are all the types of barriers to effective communication. Okay. This we have seen many times. Semantic barriers means with respect to understanding of meaning. With this I stop. Psychological barriers means with respect to a cognitive level. Organizational barriers means in organization, the work area, there will be having some kind of an organizational barrier. All these things are here. Personal barriers means that with respect to myself. Okay, with respect to myself, it's called a personal barrier. In the beginning, we saw some barriers like physical barriers, right? Physical barrier and physiological barrier. Right? Semantic barriers means what? Understanding in a wrong way. That is semantic barriers. I tell in one way, you understand in a different way. So badly expressed message, symbols with the different meanings, double meanings, right? Faulty translations, translating in a wrong sense, unclarified assumptions, technical jargons. Jargons means what? Using technical words will not be able to understand, right? Technical jargons and body language and gesture decoding. I am telling, actually I will not be good. That's why I'm sitting in that way. That what will happen? The people who are on the other end will misunderstand that person. He was disrespecting. Yes, so these are all the semantic barriers when I do communication. Psychological barriers means all with respect to our mind level, cognitive level, lack of attention, lost by poor retention, distrust, premature evaluation, all comes under psychological barriers. Organizational barriers means I work in an institution, so when there I have some kind of a problem with respect to the policies, rules and regulations, status difference, complex organization is there to interact with the people, right? And the facilities there in the place. Those are all the organizational barriers in the workplace. Personal barriers means what? Lack of confidence, incentives, fear of authority, or all personal. If I see some people, I'll be very feared and scared. I'll not go and talk to them. That's personal barrier. Okay. And physical barriers means with respect to infrastructure. This we have seen so many times. Those who have not seen, please kindly don't visit this week. Communication classes. There we have seen so many PYQs here in the YouTube and also in the app also. Okay. Infrastructure, environment. Thus comes under physical. Physiological means I'm getting fever, I'm getting headache. Okay, my health is not well. That is all comes under the physiological types of bad. Yes, and we have covered much things about the mass media in the YouTube and also on the app. Many latest questions we have discussed. Those who are new to the class, please kindly do attend the regular classes to do more PYQs here and also there in the app. Tomorrow at sharp 10 a.m. again we are going to meet for another set of marathon for the pure PYQ sessions. So whatever all we have learned today. So we are going to have, I try to complete which are that some few concepts. I need some half an hour time to complete those things. If I get time tomorrow, I'll try to complete those topics also. And also we will see from 50 plus PYQs which I have not discussed in YouTube and also in app. So that is going to be a fresh set of questions. So we welcome you all for another type of session tomorrow. Do join at 10 o'clock. Make your time free at 10 a.m. And today at 8 o'clock again we are going to meet in app for PYQ sessions of June 2023 and March 2023. Those who are new to the session, new to the class, you can enroll in the class for more PYQs, and the DI will be posted by meantime. Okay, as I was preparing for this, I was not able to upload the DI. I will upload the DI as early as possible. So we will be joining together tonight and tomorrow at YouTube at 10 o'clock. This PDF will be uploaded there in the app by evening. Okay, thank you so much. Put your comment there in the comment box to like this session and share with your friends. Thank you so much. Tata, bye bye. See you. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.